I guess right now that would be New York. Right, Frank?
Yeah, and they beat the Miami Heat yesterday. Big win for the Knicks.
They did. That is, you know what? To be fair, they've been better since Fizdale was fired. I mean, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's why I laughed when I saw that story about David Fizdale, and the headline was something like, Fizdale doesn't have any, bad feeling toward the Knicks or anything like that. I mean, why would he? He didn't really perform that well, and he's getting paid for the next 2 years for not really doing that great of a job. If anyone should have hard feelings, it might be the Knicks toward him.
Right.
Now, granted, they're the ones that hired him, but he did not have a great second season. They were getting blown out in games. If you remember his final week, they lost by 40 in Milwaukee, and then 3 nights later they came home. They lost by in the 30s to Denver, but late in the game they were down by 40 points, which ended up being his last game as coach. So I'm not saying that he's not a good coach. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that he quit on the team, but he definitely didn't perform too well, and that's why I just thought it was funny when he says he doesn't have any hard feeling toward the Knicks. Like, why would he?
Yeah, no, and we were actually talking about this last week. Like, one thing that you have to say about Jim Dolan is that he pays people. I mean, he pays his employees well. He pays his coaches well. I mean, horrible decisions left and right as far as who he hires, but he does pay people, Frank. He pays people really well.
Yeah, and I think, but right now, you look at the coach they have, Mike Miller, who's doing a pretty good job. But they're not really. They're really developing players. R.J. Barrett starts, he plays a lot, but it's not really like Kevin Knox is developing, Frank Ntilikina. So even though they've won a couple of games, they'll win more games than they did last year. I mean, last year they won 17. But, can they get to 25? You're basically at the midway point right now, and they've only won 11. So they're using guys that, when you look at their roster, aren't really going to be here a couple of years from now. And they might not be here a year from now. So you're just kind of spinning your wheels, which always seems to be what's happening in New York.
And that was the weird thing when they were in town. I sent out I don't know that they have one player that would get minutes for the Jazz. Now, I think Mitchell Robinson has a chance to be a decent player. And I don't like Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson. These are bit pieces, but the Jazz have won 13 of 14, Frank. I don't know that the Knicks have one guy that would get minutes for Utah right now.
Marcus Morris is a good player. I don't think he played in that game against Utah.
He didn't, no.
I think he was banged up. But, I think he had something like 35 points the day before. So he's the one guy that has played really well. He's the one guy that I would think some teams would be interested in. The Clippers are interested in him, and he would be a rotation player for them. He's the one guy that could fit with the Utah Jazz because he brings toughness. He can shoot three-pointers, but the Jazz are rolling with it now, 9 in a row, even though all the teams that they've beaten except for the Clippers are sub-500 teams. But, hey, those are the teams that are put on your schedule, so you got to beat them.
Do you think people around the league understand how good Rudy is? I mean, he has won like 4 games of their last 5 or 6 just with big-time defensive plays down the stretch. When you look at win shares and defensive efficiency, I mean, legitimately a top 10 guy, Frank. Do you think people around the league know?
Yeah, I think so. It's really about the coaches knowing. And that's why we'll see what will happen a couple of weeks from now when the vote comes out for the coaches, who they vote for the reserves to the All-Star team, because now with, Karl Anthony Towns missing so many games, he's not going to be an All-Star this year. The coaches won't vote for him. So this could be the year for Rudy Gobert to finally get in. So this way he won't have to post a video of himself crying, or maybe tears of joy.
Oh, man. Taking a shot at Rudy for showing some emotion.
I said maybe there'll be a video of him crying, tears of joy. There's nothing wrong with that.
All
I'm
right.
sure it'll mean a lot to him.
Well, look,
I guess he'd be the last. Who would be the last French player to make the All-Star team? I guess it'd be Tony Parker.
Yeah, it would have to be Tony
a while
Parker.
Ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, last and probably only, right? I don't think Diaw was ever an All-Star. Is there another option?
No. Even though Dominique Wilkins was born, this is true, he was born in Paris.
Yes, he was. Good knowledge.
And he just turned 60 yesterday. How about that?
That is crazy. That is crazy. Right? Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, I used to love watching Dominique play. There was a reason his nickname was the Human Highlight Film, but I can't believe Dominique Wilkins is 60. That is crazy.
I know. And you think with the All-Star game being in Chicago, and you think about some of the slam dunk competition with him and Michael, how good that was.
Oh yeah, was that 88? Yeah. They're awesome, back and forth. Yeah,
which a lot of people thought that Dominique won, but I believe it was in Chicago. So believe it or not, Michael Jordan was going to get the hometown call in Chicago.
Yeah, but actually, if you go back and watch it, I think Dominique had a better. I think he had a better contest than Mike did. I really do.
No, he definitely did. And that, it's funny too because he played in Atlanta, and they never really got that far. I think they made the conference finals maybe one time. But you're talking about a guy that was off the charts in terms of being a great player.
Oh yeah.
And if you remember too, this is the funny thing about the Hall of Fame, which it comes up for football and basketball. The first ballot, he did not get in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that's right.
In fact, there was a female player from Brazil that got in the same year that Dominique didn't get in. Listen, I'm all for women from Brazil, but I'm not so sure anybody should be making the Hall of Fame ahead of Dominique. I mean, the guy for his generation was one of the greatest players of a generation that included guys like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson.
Yeah. Oh no doubt. He could really score. Hey, I picked Philly to come out of the East to start. Maybe everybody was picking Milwaukee, and I thought I'd just go with Philly. Embiid gets hurt, and look, when you talk to scouts about Joel Embiid, they love him because he's so unique, but he can't seem to stay healthy, and I'm not sure that Philly's going to be able to.
He couldn't stay healthy during the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, do they ride with him or
why would you pick? Like, let me ask you a question. Late in the game, who are you going to go to?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Tobias Harris, but no, he's not like an awesome closer.
Now, that's why I look at Miami. At least they got Jimmy Butler.
Right.
But if you double-team Jimmy Butler, and the Knicks did a really good job on Butler yesterday, now you're kind of relying on other guys. That's the thing about the Eastern Conference. There's one player in the conference that's a Finals MVP, and that's Kevin Durant. But and Kyrie Irving has been to a Finals.
Right.
But you look in Milwaukee, they've only won 2 rounds in the playoffs. You look at Philadelphia, they've never got out in the second round. Miami is essentially a new team. Indiana's good, and if the whole people comes back and plays really well, they could be dangerous. But there's really, Boston, the same thing. The other guys have been to a conference finals. But if whoever goes, assuming that Kevin Durant doesn't come back this year, it's really a first-time deal for any one of these teams. I just have a hard time trusting Philadelphia late in the game. Ben Simmons, he can't make threes. He won't shoot threes. He's not that great from the free throw line, so all that stuff is a concern.
Yeah, and all that's fair. I mean, mostly I just wanted to be a little bit different than everyone who was picking Milwaukee. But, analytically, by every metric, Milwaukee's having a historically great season. So outside of an injury, is there anyone in the East that can make them uncomfortable in 7 games?
Oh, you know what? Look at Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Look at the way that Toronto's played without Kawhi Leonard, and they had guys hurt. Gasol is still out. Siakam just came back. I think he was out about 8 or 9 games. Kyle Lowry was out early in the season. That's the one team come playoff time, which, I think mentally tough players like Kyle Lowry kind of changed the way we look at him with the way that he played last year. Van Vliet, Siakam, they could be a dangerous team in the East. For me right now, it's Milwaukee. It's hard to believe Milwaukee has already reached the halfway point of their season. They've played 41 games. They have 35 wins. They're halfway to 70 wins. How crazy is that?
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, and I do like I like Embiid is special, but he can't stay healthy. But what does Philly do with that core? Like if they can't get it done with this group, they're going to have to look to make a move, and they're kind of in salary cap hell for a minute.
But I mean, they're still both young players. It's just you're kind of waiting for them, for one of those guys, to kind of take that next step. You really think it should be Ben Simmons because he can dominate a game in a lot of ways defensively. He could dominate it when he's driving to the basket. Again, though, I just don't – until he proves otherwise, you don't trust him on the perimeter, and you don't trust him getting fouled late in play, these tight playoff games and going to the free throw line and making a shot.
What do you make of the Beeline story, you're playing like thugs? Oh, I meant slugs. And, I mean, I've never heard a coach use that term, but at the same time, I'm not – I'd rather just believe in people and trust people, I don't really know what to make of it.
Well, he's a 60-year-old man, a 60-plus-year-old man who's coached over 40 years of basketball. Had you ever heard anything like this connected to John Beilein before? He says he misspoke. I mean, he seems to be I never met the man. I don't know him from a hole in the wall. But he seems like a pretty decent guy. And I got to be honest with you, this idea that when the players heard that, they were taken aback and they were upset and disturbed. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they've been out to get John Beilein since the start of the season when that story came out in The Athletic that the players think he's focusing way too much on fundamentals and too many film sessions. Who are the guys on the Cleveland Cavaliers? What have they, unless LeBron James is on that team, what have they ever accomplished? Last year they won 19 games, and that's with Tyronn Lue and Larry Drew as their head coaches, two experienced guys. So they stunk with them. They stink this year with John Beilein, but it's only way to cover themselves, and that even includes the people in the organization. He didn't pursue them; they came after him, and I thought it was disgraceful the way everything got handled. I thought John Beilein got thrown under the bus by a lot of people, and if he had said that, I guess he said he did say it, but he misspoke. So his entire career should be thrown away because of something like that. You would have thought he got up in front of season ticket holders before the start of the season and said, "You're really going to love our team. We got rid of every thug on the team. Those thugs that you guys don't like, we got rid of all of them." All right, if he said something like that, that's different. Here's something in a private meeting where he uses the wrong word, and then you had Colin Sexton came out and said he has used the word slugs to describe us before.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't get nobody gets a pass, nobody gets a mulligan. That's it. The guy's career should be ruined because of that. That's ridiculous.
No, I agree. I excuse me. I don't know why Kevin Durant is so sensitive. I've never understood it. Like the burner account, all that, and Kendrick Perkins goes at him, and then the Twitter back and forth. Like the dude has won MVPs, he's won rings. I understand. Like the way he left OKC was not awesome. A lot of people were bummed out about it. I get it. But what'd you make of the back and forth between those two?
You know what? I look at it this way. At least he's not using a burner account this time. And he's clearly bored, so big deal. You want to have at it with a guy. And I'm sure for the Brooklyn Nets, maybe they're thinking, hey, this is great. He's defending us. I think he's very sensitive to the idea, and you know this too. The Knick fan and people in the Knick media have this notion that they've created that if you don't want to come play for the Knicks and you have a choice, it's because you're not tough enough. You can't handle New York. Oh, really? So Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving look back at the situation. They say, all right, what's gone on in New York the last 20 years? What are the odds that it's going to work out with us there? So why should we – the money's going to be the same. So why should we put ourselves in a position where now for 20 years the place has been mismanaged? For the most part, they did have a 3-year little, stretch where they were halfway decent. So that's a reflection on them as a tough guy and not having courage. Maybe it's a reflection on them that they're using their heads, and they said it's not worth the aggravation. Like the Knicks fan never wants to hold the organization, and people in the media are this way too, never want to hold the organization to a standard. They think it's somehow the player who's weak-minded. Oh, really? So LeBron James, how many chances did he have to go to New York? 4? All right, he went to Miami, went back to Cleveland, and then went to the Lakers. So 3 chances he's had. And he was a free agent when he was in Cleveland a couple of times. So we'll say 4 chances. So LeBron James was willing to go to the Lakers, where it's championship or bust if you go to L.A., but he's weak because he didn't want to come to New York. Instead of saying it's a reflection of the organization, these crazy Knicks fans think it's a reflection of the player. That Kyrie Irving does some weird stuff, and Kevin Durant has done some weird stuff. But I'm not going to say that proves that they're somehow soft because they didn't want to come to the Knicks. I think that proves that they thought this thing out, and they're actually pretty smart.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. All right, LSU Clemson tonight. Frank, who you got?
Undefeated Tigers, I'm going with.
All right.
Both teams are undefeated Tigers.
I love it.
Something tells me Clemson with Trevor Lawrence. I think the guy, there's something about him. There's a certain quality about him. Like what he did in that Ohio State game. He took some big hits. They were down big, and yet he still finds a way to win. So I'm going to go with Clemson. It would be pretty interesting to see LSU, which has had this unbelievable season, winning in Alabama, beating Georgia in Atlanta. Now they get to play a home game, to complete really one of the greatest seasons in college football history. But Clemson, there's something about that program. I'm not going to bet against them. Yeah,
no, I tend to agree.
You're not going to ask me about the NFL at all?
Do you want to go there? I mean,
I guess not.
Well, we got a couple of minutes. I mean, we got a couple of minutes before we have to break for our next guest. Okay, let's just start here. Are you with everybody that's piling on Lamar, or is that a little unfair?
Well, I don't understand the idea of piling on. He's going to be the MVP of the league.
Yep.
He had a great year, and he was not good in the play. I don't want to hear about his stats. I mean, a lot of those numbers came late.
Yeah.
Right? He really didn't make a huge impact on a game, and he had 3 turnovers. I don't know. It's everybody else's fault that he had the turnovers. How about the one where he got sacked from behind? He couldn't feel that rush coming?
Right.
And how about on 4th and 1? I thought he was he's Superman. He can't – 2 times on a 4th and 1, he can't get a first down? So it's not a referendum on him as a player, but in the moment of truth, he lost again at home, this time to the Tennessee Titans. So back-to-back years, he's lost to the Chargers at home, and he's lost to Tennessee, and in total they've scored 29 points. Again, doesn't mean that he's not going to be a great player in the league. But all I know is in 2 home playoff games, everyone said, "Oh, Peyton Manning started, he did this, and this quarterback did this." They had the best record in the league. They had a home playoff game, and he lost to Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans. He didn't lose to Patrick Mahomes, right? He didn't lose to. They didn't go on the road as an 8-8 team, lucky to get in the playoffs, and lost to Tom Brady. They went in with this guy being the MVP of the league, the presumptive MVP, and they have the best record. So why shouldn't he be? I don't understand why he shouldn't be criticized. He can only get praise for every game that he won, but he's above criticism here. It's just strange. I think it's the way our sporting culture has become. Right. Nobody ever wants to hold the best players to a standard. It always has to be like, the lower guys. And I get it. Some of that guys drop passes, but I don't think – did you think he played well enough?
No, he was horrible. But I just don't think that style of play at the quarterback position is sustainable. I've seen this movie. Mike Vick was the baddest dude on the planet for like 4 or 5 years. Kaepernick, RG3, Cunny. I think Lamar Jackson's really exciting, but do you really think he's going to do what he did this year for 8 years? Because I don't.
Well, to me, like Josh Allen of Buffalo plays kind of similar, where like he's looking to run. Like I look at Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers is like this. Steve Young back in the day was like this. I'm trying to think of Patrick Mahomes is like this too. They'll drop back, and then if they see the play kind of break down, then they start running. Where Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are running to run,
right?
And that's why I agree with you. I think they take so many huge hits. I think what Lamar Jackson is trying to do, which he does during the regular season, but he can't do in the playoffs, is kind of what Russell Wilson did yesterday, what Mahomes did, what Aaron Rodgers did, where they use their feet to create plays. Where I just didn't think the guy had a good game. I don't know about saying necessarily the style, but I will say this: when he needs to just be a thrower, that seems like when you got him. This second year in a row now, where they've fallen behind and he can't bring them back. How did Mahomes do once his team fell behind? It was like taking candy from a baby for him.
No part of me thought the Chiefs were in trouble. Yeah, and no part of me thought the Chiefs were in trouble.
No, I didn't either. And I think it's unfair to blame Bill O'Brien. At first, they kicked the field goal. All right, but it's not like they didn't score there. So I didn't have a problem. You wanted to be a little bit more aggressive. I think the fake punt was a mistake, but I think the even bigger play was on the, Kansas City scores, they kick off, and then the guy fumbles the ball.
Right.
That to me was huge. And then Kansas City scoring at the end of the half and then getting the second half kickoff. But I agree with you. I thought going into the playoffs, I thought Kansas City was the best team in the AFC. I like New England. I never thought I wasn't worried about playing Baltimore. I was always worried about playing the Chiefs. And I think if the Patriots had won last week and had played the Chiefs, I think they would have lost. They might have given up 40-something points. I think the Chiefs are just too fast.
Yeah.
And Mahomes is too good. You're going to have to get a little lucky to beat them.
No, I agree. All right, brother. Well, hey, thanks for the time as always on a Monday. Enjoy the game tonight, week ahead. And do you have anything else?
I guess I brought the goods for the football. See?
You did. You always do. We never question that.
Who's the next guest?
Dennis Erickson.
Really?
Absolutely. Legendary college. Look on Twitter. We sent it out with you. Look on your mentions. We always
you should ask him, what was it like? Did he replace Jimmy Johnson at Miami?
He did. Yep.
So now that Jimmy Johnson got the Hall of Fame, you should ask him about that.
That was a cool moment.
Must I do everything?
Yes. We rely on you for programming and everything with the show, Frank. You know that.
Tell Brady that Uncut Gems, the movie that I was supposed to be in, got cut out of.
Yeah.
Guess how many Oscar nominations they got?
Brady knows. Brady's all about the Oscar nominations. Brady, come on air. Brady's all about the Oscar nominations. Are you bummed out about because Brady loves The Sandman. Are you bummed out about 0 Oscar nominations?
I saw it coming, but yeah, I'm a little bummed.
I told you about what happened with Uncut Gems, right? I was supposed to be in the movie?
Yes. Yep.
All right, so they cut me out of it. 0 Oscar nominations. Take that, Safdie brothers.
So lesson learned is when you keep Isola out of a movie, that the critics are not going to reward you for the decision.
I'm in that movie, we're getting a nomination. Me playing off Adam Sandler, maybe he would get an Academy Award for Best Actor. I'm not in it. Not happening.
Lesson learned.
Those are simple facts. Thank you.
All right, brother. Be good. We'll chat next week, all right?
I'll see you guys.
There he is, Frank Isola from The Athletic.